Hey guys, Mars Thinking here, bringing a Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today I wanted to have a little chat about Kid Buu. I thought I would post the or show this at the start of the video. Shout out to our boy Mega Nice, the single summon menace. He made this post the other day. It tagged a bunch of people in it. As you can see, it is a pretty well done Photoshop of the friend summon banner, which, as we know, has not really been updated in the game for a while. I mean, I say that, I guess they kind of updated it a little bit to make it sort of like a lesser version of the special anniversary version of the banner that Global used to get, where it's got these like Grand Kais and stuff like that in it. But for the most part, the friend banner has been left somewhat untouched for quite some time. We haven't received a friend summon LR since the Physical Saiyaman 1 and 2, who are quite a few years old at this point. One thing I hope we probably will get to sometime soon, I know we're going, like, starting off with the Prime Battle LRs, but it'll be interesting to see when the Friend Summon AGL androids, of course they were the very first Friend Summon LR, be very interesting to see, like, if and when they get a Super Easy A. But yeah, our boy made this this image, the LR Kid Buu finally coming to Dokkan, but as a friend summon LR. So obviously the whole point of this video is not just to talk about this single post, but just to talk about the myth, the legend, the meme that is LR Kid Buu. Something that has been highly anticipated in the game for a long time. In fact, I saw a post, like someone was saying, it was something like, aside from Daima stuff, is like LR Kid Buu the most wanted thing in Dokkan? Because it probably is the thing that gets mentioned and gets memed about the most, I would say, at this point, when it comes to like characters being added into the game. Obviously there's always been the memes about like Farmer with a Shotgun and stuff like that, but in terms of characters that would realistically come to the game and should at this point, after like 10 years, be in the game, I think LR Kid Buu is the absolute #1. You can see from the comments, you know, like, you are evil, giving them ideas like that. Some men just want to watch the world burn. Be brilliant if they make the most wanted LR a friend point LR. Tremendous bait, 8 out of 10. Yeah, should have acted like a data mine account, or one of those like accounts. I saw one, I think it was yesterday. I got really confused. There was a post about like new quest stages had been added, and someone had just done that thing where they copy the Dokkan like profile picture and like the name and everything, but you could see the @ was like @Dokkan, like with an O. So everything at like a very quick glance, if you're not paying attention, it looks like the official account. Imagine like changing all of your branding to that and then posting this, like people would go absolutely insane. But if we take a look at, so obviously Kid Buu in the actual game, the best one we've got at the moment, who's at least somewhat usable nowadays, like still in the meta, is the STR Kid Buu. Kid Buu is a unit that, you know, has a lot of possibilities in the game, because he's got a good link set, right? He's a Big Bad Boss's character. He's got brutal. I say a good link set, to be fair. When it comes to just mixing him with other villains, right, he just has Big Bad Bosses, brutal beatdown, and then fierce battle. But we have a lot of decent like margin units. I guess it depends on who else gets buffs like around the same kind of time. But he's on categories like transformation boost, artificial life forms, planetary destruction, sworn enemies, accelerated battle is like the big one, worldwide chaos, uncontrollable power, battle of fakes, obviously he's like the final boss of Dragon Ball Z, demonic power. Like, there's a bunch of these teams that are really, really good that would obviously benefit massively from a Kid Buu. And every single time, like, the celebration kind of fits with the possibility of Kid Buu. Like, he always gets mentioned as a possible choice. This time as well, especially for the April Part 2 LR, because of course the STR Cell that released as the Part 1 Dokkan Fest, he leads Worldwide Chaos as one of his leader skills, and then has Accelerated Battle as the plus 50%. So Part 2 LR being Kid Buu would have fit on Cell's team under his 220% lead, would be another extreme character with Big Bad Bosses, would probably, well, almost certainly would have been a better like buff for Cell and his team than PyCon, for example, right? So Why do we not have an LR Kid Buu? That is probably the biggest question that only Amatsu and the devs will truly know the answer to. Because one of the things I said, right, because he's on Battle of Fate, like, Kid Buu is the final boss of Dragon Ball Z. Like, for years, if you don't count the movies, because obviously they're their own individual stories and they're not canon. Like, I know when it comes to Dragon Ball, they don't really care about canon anyway, but they're their own separate stories, and we went so many years after the end of Dragon Ball Z. Like, we got the TV special, the Son Goku and Friends Return, which obviously, like, in most places didn't even show, like, outside of Japan. And then finally, years later, we got Battle of Gods, and then Resurrection of F, and then finally Dragon Ball Super came out, and we had a new actual series. But in terms of, like, an actual series of Dragon Ball, like, Kid Buu was the final boss for, like, years and years and years. And when we take a look at some of these categories and some of these other villains, right? So sworn enemies, it does include Demon King Piccolo, but obviously the wiki is not like an official like translation. It's not like what it says on the wiki is therefore necessarily like the clandestine truth, but it says characters that first appeared in Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z as main antagonists and never stopped being evil in that time. And you can see, is that even true? Because Fat Boo's on there, but I guess it's like a different version of Fat Boo. But if we take a look at the LRs in Sworn Enemies, so this is for Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. So we'll ignore the OG Dragon Ball. Obviously, we've got Mercenary Tao, we've got Demon King Piccolo. But you think about like the first major antagonist of Dragon Ball Z, I guess really outside, I guess technically it's Vegeta, right? But he doesn't count as sworn enemies because he does eventually change sides. But there are many, we could look, and there are Vegeta LRs from the Saiyan saga, right? We've got Vegeta and Nappa, and we've got the Great Ape Vegeta. Then we've got First Form Frieza and Full Power Frieza. Now, obviously, the fact is, and he's not as much mentioned as Kid Buu, because I guess we do have other units, but there's no LR Final Form Frieza, who of course is the big final battle on Planet Namek, who does eventually transform into Full Power Frieza. But we've got First Form Frieza, we've got Full Power Frieza, then we go into like the androids and the Cell arc. Obviously for the androids themselves, right, we have the LR androids, we have the physical LR androids that have the exchange into 16, and then Cell, we have First Form Cell and we have Perfect Cell. We also even have Cell and the Cell Juniors. They don't count for sworn enemies because of the Cell Juniors, but the only thing we're missing is like a second form Cell. But the final boss of the arc, Perfect Cell, has at least 2 LRs if we include the Cell Juniors, right? Because we're talking about the fact that Kid Buu is the final boss. So even if there's no final form Frieza, we have 2 full power Friezas. We also have Golden Frieza, but obviously that's from later on, like in Super. And then when we get into the Buu saga, obviously we have LRs like the Buu and Barbady and stuff like that. But then when it comes to like the final boss, like there's no Kid Buu. We have Super Buu, we have Buu Tanks, who obviously transforms into Buuhan, but we have no LR Kid Buu. And then even when we go on to Dragon Ball Super, right? We've got Super Bosses category. We already have the Golden Frieza, I know from like the movies. We have Beerus, who, you know, if we want to count like Resurrection of F and Battle of Gods, even though technically they're Dragon Ball Z movies. But then when you get into the arcs of like Dragon Ball Super, then obviously like all the Goku, Black and Zamasu characters, we have multiple LRs for them. Broly, even though he's from the movie, right, we have the LR for him and the Broly trio as well. Jiren, the final boss of Dragon Ball Super, has 2 LRs at this point. Cell Max from the latest movie, Superhero, has an LR. Like, it's basically what I'm trying to point out. We can look at GT bosses as well, right? The first arc, right, we have Baby. I guess it's the first like major arc, right? We have a Baby LR. We even have a Super 17 LR. And then we have a Shadow Dragons LR and an Omega Shenron LR. So as you can see, like every single part of the series from Z to Super to GT, all of the final bosses have LRs, except for Kid Buu. So why are they holding back this LR Kid Buu? We've had multiple Majin Buu Saga related celebrations over the years. I mean, we even had a massive one at the end of last year. Like I say, this one with Worldwide Chaos and Accelerated Battle for Cell. Whilst it's not like, you know, the perfect celebration for a Kid Buu, he fits nicely on that team at least. But yeah, for some reason, still no LR Kid Buu. Who knows when we will finally see him come to the game. I just thought it'd be fun to make this video and talk about, because it wasn't until I started opening up all of these like category pages that you really can see that it's like every major final boss from every arc of every series has an LR apart from Kid Buu. So crazy, but yeah, he is probably one of the most anticipated extreme units in the game. Like, I know people want to see the Dimer stuff. I mean, even when it comes to, if we're talking about only extreme, I would imagine if you took a poll, like, people would be much more excited to get an LR Kid Buu finally than to get like a Goma unit from Dimer. So probably the most anticipated the most anticipated extreme unit in the game. Now, the funny thing is, to circle back to like the meme banner and our boy Mega Nice, this is the kind of like dastardly thing you could imagine. Like, we finally get an LR Kid Buu and he's a friend summon LR. I mean, the thing is, we've seen the AGL LR Bardock from the quest mode is obviously actually really good. So I think it's one of those things that if he did come out as like a free to play, like, imagine he might not be a friend summon LR, but he could be the next like prime battle LR or something like that, right? Like, I think it doesn't really matter too much as long as he's actually good. But even with the good free to play like units, they do age out fairly quickly, right? Like Bio Broly was the last prime battle LR, and he came out during the worldwide celebration, and he was pretty good like on release, but he also easy age straight away. So his like, you know, he's pretty much outdated at this point already. So if Kid Buu came out as a free-to-play LR, even if he was really good on release, it probably wouldn't be relevant for that long in the meta, I guess we could say. And the funny thing is, like, this slot that we just got, we got the LR Pycon. And he's really, really good. He joins like a very short list of characters like Bulma, Cellmax, of these like yellow coin LRs that came out and were really, really good on release and actually like very playable in the meta. I mean, he's not quite, Cellmax and Bulma when they came out were like, you know, getting into like top 3s, top 5s on like LR tier lists. Pycon probably isn't quite that good considering how good some of the Dokkan Fest LRs we have now are. But in terms of yellow coin LRs, he's super, super good. So if Kid Buu had been in that time slot and was of that same sort of level of like power and relevancy, like, we would have him in the game now and he would actually be very good. So I guess it doesn't matter if he doesn't necessarily need to be a Dokkan Fest LR, but again, with everything we've said and everything we've sort of built up for this Kid Buu, the final boss of Dragon Ball Z, the final boss of anything we had Dragon Ball related for years and years outside of like the random games and stuff, he definitely would deserve a Dokkan Fest LR. But that means we're looking at, I guess, another big celebration that is Buu Saga themed. And we've just had, you know, we had one at the end of last year. So who knows? Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Like, do you think we will see an LR Kid Buu anytime soon? Obviously, the big meme that we have that we mention on stream all the time is anytime LR Kid Buu gets mentioned, his release gets delayed. So I guess by making this video, we've pushed it back even further. But let me know what you guys think. What would you like to see from an LR Kid Buu? Do you think he needs to be a Dokkan Fest LR? Would you be happy with him being a free-to-play LR as long as he was, you know, like still one of the top tier LRs in the game? I think that's the tough thing, right? Like, if he came out as a free-to-play, he could quite easily be like the best free-to-play unit in the game. But would they make him on par with like some of the best summonable LRs? Probably not. But let me know all your guys' thoughts down below. What would you like to see from an LR Kid Buu? We know that yellow coin LRs now are potentially going to have 200% leader skills. So again, even being a yellow coin LR, he could still be really, really good. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.